Good morning. Hi, everyone. I'm Jasenia Mattis. I serve as the Executive Director to the Center for Student Success. I cannot thank you enough for being here today. I want to thank you for being dedicated to our students. I want to thank you for being dedicated to the field of ESL. And I want to thank you to being committed to the community college sector just as a whole. What I'm finding in New Jersey is that there's a lot of collaboration. And every time we get together, we have lots of folks who are committed to the mission of our community college and committed to New Jersey, as evidenced by all of you here today. I want to also thank the leadership of Dr. Maris Lown, who's not with us today, and Dr. Friedman for the ESL Toolkit. And I believe there are some folks in the room that helped to author this paper. Dr. David Edwards of Middlesex County College, Richard Roy of Middlesex County College, and also Chris Wall from Hudson County Community College. There are others mentioned in the ESL Toolkit on page 4. So thank you to the folks that helped to create this document, which spearheaded and led us to where we are today, where we get to hear from folks throughout the state on their excellent programs and what they're doing. If you'll look through your packets, you will find that we have a featured presentation today from your colleagues at Passaic County Community College. We're going to hear from Kathy Kelly, Bob Salvato, and Leo Kazan on acceleration options for English language learners. Then we have a concurrent session for you. You'll be able to choose from 3 sessions, Light Your Path to Success Through Learning Communities, with our colleagues at Bergen Community College, Gemma Figaro and Maria Kasparova, and I apologize if I don't pronounce your name correctly. You can correct me later. Also, integrating the curriculum, a new ESL program, our folks here at Middlesex County College will be presenting, Gary Abbott and Richard Roy. And then we'll have another session implementing a modified portfolio assessment approach in ESL writing courses, and that is by David Bruno at Camden County College. In the second session, we'll have assessment of English language learners and building student accountability. That's by Marie Geralt and also Andrea Crocco-Varela of Essex County College. And then we have forging new curricular paths, learning communities, condensed courses and certificates. That will be by Elena Rebecki and Saida Jasmine and Saliha Yogbi of Hudson County Community College. And finally, we will hear from Union County College, Derek McConnell, who will present on an advanced English as second language reading and psychology learning model. So, as was mentioned before, we're focusing on programs in the state of New Jersey from your colleagues. We hope that you enjoy today, and I would like you all to give yourselves a round of applause for the commitment that you have to our students. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Kathy Kelly and I'm the chair of the English Language Studies at Passaic County Community College. And before I begin, I would like to thank Lou and Jasenia for organizing this summit. I think that they did a great job and we really appreciate it. And for me, it's a pleasure to be with all of you here today, all of you ESL specialists, to discuss important issues which matter to us and to our students. So today, we are going to present to you different options that we have for our students for acceleration in our program and as they finish our program. And we feel like these acceleration options really empower them and inspire them to continue their education. So let me tell you a little bit about our college. We're located in Paterson, but we also have campuses in Wanacue and Passaic. Our ESL classes are in Paterson and Passaic, but not in Wanacue. Our total population is about 9,000 students, and of those 9,000, about 12% are ESL students. As you can see, most of our ESL students are part-time, although we're trying to encourage more of them to become full-time. And the majority are Hispanic, although we do have a good population of students from the Middle East, Bangladesh, and India. Now this is a chart of how our program looks today. And you'll notice, you see the 2012, and that's the year that we began to reorganize our department. Before that, we had talked for many years about making changes. But as you know, change is not easy. And I would say the 2 catalysts for really getting us to make the changes were becoming an ATD college and also the reduction of financial aid from 18 to 12 semesters. One of the biggest changes we made is we eliminated our lowest level from our academic program. We call that level 1. And this level 1 had always been problematic for us because although we considered it high beginner, the truth was it really wasn't high beginner because we had a wide range of students. Students who maybe couldn't speak one word of English and were even illiterate in their own language, to students who were truly high beginners, some even with a bachelor's or a higher degree from their own countries. So you can imagine, what it's like to teach a class where you have such a wide range. So what we did when we made the change is we made a stronger connection with our continuing education program. Before that, we had always been separate, and we really hadn't talked to each other. So we revised the curriculum, and we added more non-credit ESL classes in the adult education. And later on, Bob Salvato is going to speak to you more about our non-credit classes. Another thing that we did in our program is we added a career track. And we did this because so many of our students would come to us and they would say, "Teacher, please give us something short." They were like very overwhelmed. I mean, it's very difficult. Imagine a lower level student coming in, having to take all those ESL classes, and then when they're finished, continuing on to get their associate's degree. It's a very, very long journey for them. So we wanted to give them something in between. So right now we're developing bridge and paired classes which will support them in getting a certificate and then hopefully later on going on to get their associate's degree. Right now we have what we call a CDA track, and that's for early childhood education. If they want to get a certificate in that, we offer a career track, and I'm going to speak a little bit more about that later on. And in the fall, we're beginning a culinary arts track for them. And in the further future, we're going to have a track for actually welding and plumbing. But that one, we still have to work out the plans for. Okay, so we feel like it's really important to empower students, but we also realize that, one size doesn't fit all. Our English language learners, they come from different educational backgrounds, different countries, different languages. They learn at different paces, and they also can't commit equally. Some of them can commit more than others can. So we wanted to provide the highly motivated students for opportunities for acceleration at 3 points. One is when they enter the college. Another one is as they progress through our ESL classes. And another point would be as they transition into college level classes. Okay, so now I'd like to introduce Bob Salvato, and he is the Director of Adult Education at our college.
Good morning, everyone. As Kathy noted, we eliminated our level 1, beginner level 1 on the credit side, and we replaced it with 2 levels of non-credit beginner classes on our adult education side in the adult education department. The first beginner class that our students can take is called Basic, and then it's followed by Prep, which, as the name suggests, prepares our students for entry into the academic program at the 0-20 level. Our basic ESL course is non-credit, as I said, for our low beginning students. We have 12-week sessions, 60 hours of instruction, of integrated reading, writing, listening, and speaking skills lessons. And it's for preparation of our students into the high beginning prep course, which I'll speak about now. Our prep course is the second stage in our program now for our beginner students on the non-credit side. It's for our higher beginning students, which prepares them for the credit ELS academic program at the 0-20 level. We have 4-week sessions, 3 hours per day, Monday, through Thursday. And just as the basic course, we have integrated reading, writing, listening, and speaking skills lessons. These prep courses are offered before and during each semester. So we do them on a continual basis all throughout the year. And we've also added individual and small group tutoring support for our students, which we've seen a lot of fruit from. Just to give you an idea of what the passing rates have been over the last 3 years since we started our prep course, we've had an average of about 74% success rate, which is pretty consistent with our overall success rate for our program. What we did is we took it a step further too, and we tracked the performance of our prep students in the academic level, the first academic level, which is 0-20. And in our in 0-20 reading, the success level was at 70%, and writing was about 60%. And you can see it's a little less in writing, but historically, that's where our students have had the most trouble in the writing classes. I'm sure you guys can agree with that. But that was one of the reasons, one of the rationales for adding the small group tutoring and the individual tutoring to help support our students to eventually start raising that percentage rate. Some of the advantages of the non-credit beginning ESL program, there are 12-week, 4-week sessions which accelerate the transition into the academic program and help as far as financial aid goes, beat the financial aid clock. Also, the intensive nature of the classes gives our students, provides greater immersion for our students in the language. We've also started a real proactive advisement and registration process and procedures, which have definitely led to much higher retention rates for our beginner students who are getting stuck in level 1 for sometimes 2-3 semesters. And now what we've done is we've built a pathway for them that within 1 semester, they can exit the beginning program and go right into the academic 0-20 level of our ELS program. We're also empowering our students through challenge tests, our high-performing students, and second chance writing workshops for our borderline students. So we have everybody covered. The challenge tests are for our high-performing students with instructor recommendation. They take the department exam for the level that they're wishing to jump or skip, and once they pass, then they're allowed to skip the level and go to the next level. Our second chance workshops are also non-credit. Therefore, students in the credit program, but they're workshops that are non-credit. For the borderline students that we have in our writing classes that get non-passing grades, they also need instructor recommendation, but there are intensive 2-week workshops before each semester, and it saves them having to take the same course again for 15 more weeks. So within the 2 weeks, they're able to, if they pass, accelerate and advance to the next level without having to repeat. And as I said, upon successful completion of the workshops, they can advance to the next writing level. We've had some good results with the second chance workshops also. 70% average passing rate, which is also consistent with our overall passing rate in our program. And what we did, as we did with the prep students, we took it a step further and we tracked their performance in the subsequent levels after taking the second chance workshops. And there, again, we see we have an average of 68% success rate, which again is maybe a little lower, but just pretty close to our average passing rate. And Kathy is going to talk to you a little bit more about how we're empowering our students and their career choices through progression and transition.
So I'm going to talk to you about our career track for the Child Development Certificate. And what we decided to do for this career track is we wanted to use the model of the bridge and the paired courses. So our students, and what I really like about this certificate program is the students, even at the very lowest level of our academic program, can begin to take classes toward this. So we have a bridge class, which is our reading class. And in this class is for all students who might want to get a CDA or who are interested in early childhood education. Maybe they want that to be their major. And it could also just be for students that like children and want to learn more about children. So it's, we follow the same learning outcomes as our regular reading class, but all of the vocabulary, the reading, it's all related to early childhood education. And in this class, we also talk to them about different career choices. We talk to them about the Child Development Certificate and also other careers related to early childhood education. So it's a good way of getting students interested in this field, and it's also a good way of knowing which students are truly interested and which ones maybe are not so interested. So after they finish this course, they can choose to take a paired course, and I teach this course, and it's Reading 30, and it's paired with ECE 110, which is the first of 3 courses they need in order to get the CDA certificate. So the instructor for the Reading 30 course works very closely with the ECE 110 instructor and tries to support the student in many ways in the class. All of, again, the vocabulary, the reading, the writing, and the speaking, it's all related to the college level course which they're taking. And in addition, we use the same textbook as the ECE 110. And another special point about this class is instead of going to a regular lab, students actually volunteer in a preschool or a child care center. And all of their lab activities are related to their volunteer work. And again, I mentioned I teach this course. This is my favorite course to teach. I really like it. And one of the reasons is because, you know, students are so excited to be there. They're happy to be taking the college level course. They're really interested in the subject. And I just feel like they learn English at a much faster rate when they're taking this kind of a course. And I think it's great for them. And then, you know, we also have a pathway chart, and we use this pathway chart when we're introducing students to know about the CDA program. Because sometimes it's hard for us, but it's also hard for students to visualize, like what does this path look like for them. So you can see they can begin as early as the 020 level with the bridge course. Now, while they're taking that, they can also take the regular writing course with it. And then afterwards, they can take the Reading 30 along with the first ECE 110, the first course that they need. And while they're taking that, they can take the writing course. So after taking the paired course, they really have only one more semester of coursework before they get their CDA certificate. And that is EC 111, which is a 4-credit course, and ECE 210, which is a 3-credit course, and it's like an externship where they're actually, you know, working in a child care center, and then they're reporting to the early childhood education teacher. And then they can get their certificate. But I should also mention that with this particular certificate, they have to do 480 hours of volunteer work in an early childhood education center. To me, that's a lot of hours, and it's a big commitment from students. The good part of that, though, is many of my students that were started volunteering, soon after they were actually given jobs working there because you know, the teachers were so impressed with them. So, you know, it is a lot of hours, but it's also good for their English because they're hearing English all the time, they're speaking it. And, you know, we live in a community in Patterson where if they didn't want to, they really don't have to speak English at all. So I think that this is really good for language learning too. Another thing that I like about the program is you can see that they don't have to stop after they get their certificate. They can continue on taking our advanced level reading course, which we have paired with other courses which they could use later for a higher level certificate or an associate's degree. So they could take CIS 101 or they could take Psychology 101 when they reach the Reading 107 level. And then later they could get the 35 credit certificate, and then they can continue on to get their associate's degree. So I guess that we call these like stackable credentials. Okay, so one thing that I really like about our department, and I think that it's a little bit unique, is that we offer so many paired courses to students. So they take these courses while they're still taking, the ELS courses. And I mentioned before that in the Reading 30 level, they can take ECE 110, which is the Child Development Associate. When they're in the Reading 40 level, they have a choice of taking Intro to Computer Information Systems or Intro to Sociology. And in the future, I think I mentioned before, when we have our Culinary Arts program, at the Reading 30 level, they can take a bridge course, and then at the Reading 40 level, we're going to be offering them another paired course, CU 101, which is the first course they need in order to get a culinary arts certificate, and also a first course they need if they want to major in culinary arts. When they're at the Reading 107 level, they can take Intro to Psychology, and a few semesters ago, we added another paired course with our advanced writing course, our Writing 107. They can actually take Composition 101. And later on, Leo will talk to you more about this course. So I'm sure that you're wondering, well, how do these students do in these courses? Because, I know sometimes professors from other disciplines, they're hesitant to have ESL students in the class. They're afraid they're not going to do well. But you can see our students do great. In fact, they have a higher passing rate in almost every course than the non-ESL students. And I think it's for two reasons. First of all, they get a lot of support in the ESL courses. We not only go over the content of the course with them, but we also teach them study skills, and we get them to write outlines and do a lot of practice, which is very good for their success. Another reason is because they're so excited to be there. They're so highly motivated. They're in college, they're taking these courses. They really value their education, and they work very, very hard. So I'm a big proponent of paired courses. I think that they really work. Okay, so now Leo Kazan is going to talk to you about our paired writing with Composition 101. And Leo is our level leader for our highest level, our level 107.
I'm very happy that they asked me to come here today and talk to you about this course. As a level 107 leader, I've been involved in the implementation of this course, and I've also had an opportunity to teach the ESL portion of this course. And I can tell you that if you want to see empowerment and you want to see students being motivated, you don't have to go any farther than this classroom when this course is being taught. This is a little bit different from the courses Kathy was telling you about a few seconds ago. Obviously, this combines Composition 1, which is a very popular course that many people take, with our highest level writing course, Writing 107. So it doesn't involve a reading course, as Kathy was saying, but it also does have one other difference, which is that this is not open to any student. This is only by instructor recommendation, and also we do review the portfolios of the students before they are able to take the class. So we end up with a very small group of ESL students. I believe here it says we usually have 10 to 12 ESL students who are in the ESL section, and they are also in the Composition 1 class with the native speakers, the usual college students. And we've tried this class with two different models. Originally, we tried to have one composition teacher from the English department, and the ESL portion was taught by an ESL teacher. But we found that it's really best to have one teacher do both sections, to have one teacher teach Composition 1 and also teach the Writing 107 component. This course requires a lot of coordination between the teachers. They do have to communicate regularly, and the composition teacher does need to know and communicate with the ESL teacher about what the students need and what skills he wants the ESL teacher to help these students with. And so if they're the same person, obviously, the coordination is a lot smoother. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, obviously, it should be pretty clear what happens in the composition class. It runs with native speakers and ESL students. It's a regular Composition 1 class. But people usually ask, well, what do you do in the Writing 107 class? It's very different from a regular Writing 107 class. And one question we get a lot is it a class or is it a lab? And truthfully, it's a little bit of both. The teacher really has to think on his feet. As you know, every ESL population, every class is a little bit different. All students have their own issues. And basically, the Writing 107 teacher, whether it's a different person or ideally the same person, will help the students with whatever it is that they need to keep up in the composition class. I myself have done verb control with them. We've done sentence control. We've worked on developing content for the writing of their courses. Also, as you may know, Composition 1 involves a lot of reading of materials, and we also help them with the vocabulary. We help them with reading skills. We do whatever it takes, and as you teach this class, you may have to decide on a weekly basis to change course, but you really do find that the students get a lot out of it, and you can see how motivated they are. Let's see. So these are the key points of the 107 class. You do whatever they need. You have to be flexible, and you do a lot of activities. But like a class, you also give them quizzes. You also give them tests, and they do receive a grade in both portions of the class. They receive a grade for Writing 107, and they receive a grade for Composition 1. We do have one more thing to mention about this. We have found that they are empowered in 4 different ways. And if you notice, we have psychological, we have acceleration, immersion, and reality check, and the first 4 letters spell out pair, which is very convenient, very cute. They're empowered psychologically because you pierce the barrier. They now feel that they are in college, and I think a lot of them feel that that transition to college can be very difficult for them. For a lot of our students, they may be the first person in their family who's ever actually been to college. And they may come from a culture where college is not a common experience, and they're not really sure what it's about. And the fact that they can be in a college course and get support from an ESL teacher really makes them feel very psychologically empowered. They're also accelerating, I love that phrase. I think we all liked it, beat the financial aid clock. And it also helps them to get through the program faster. I think that one goal a lot of ESL students have is to get through the program, get through college, and get a job. And they do try very hard to get into this class. It does help. They do want to get in because they can get through the program faster. They're also immersed, and what we mean by immersion is they are in a class with native speakers of English. They're working in small groups with these native speakers. They're discussing issues with the native speakers, and they get a lot of what we call high-quality input, which really does help them to improve their English dramatically. And they also have a reality check. And by reality check, what we mean is this, and I think you all may know what I'm talking about here. A lot of ESL students think that they're at a disadvantage because native speakers are going to naturally be much better writers than they are because we speak English from birth and they don't. But when they get there, they find out that native speakers have a lot of writing issues too, that they are not alone. Maybe some of the issues are a little bit different, but nobody is perfect, and believe me, a lot of the native speakers have a lot of issues too, and they realize that they may not be so different. So I think that if you put all of these together, they find this class very empowering, and it really does help them to feel that they are now real college students, which is an invaluable thing for them. Oh, we have some very good numbers here. I think you'll find these very impressive. If you notice, we've been doing this now. We have fall 13, spring 14, and fall 14. And we've had 65 students in total. We're talking the ESL students here going through this paired course. And we have a 92% pass rate, which I think is very impressive. And you'll notice also that of the 22 students from this program who went on to Composition 2, we have a 100% pass rate for those students. Now, those are some great numbers. I got to tell you, that's something you don't hear every day as an ESL teacher, 100% pass. All right, so now, I went too far, excuse me. We have come to the traditional part of our presentation known as the questions. Anybody? All right.
This is for the gentleman who just spoke about the English class, the English 107.
Yes.
Could you explain what the writing assignments are, if they're similar or if they're different for the English 101 compared to the ESL 107?
So you're asking me about, in the paired course, what are the composition assignments like compared to the ESL assignments?
Yeah, are they the same or do you have different assignments?
Oh, no, they're different classes. The composition is a regular composition class. They read articles on readings and they write papers about them. They also have a research paper assigned to them. The ESL is more of a support class. The ESL class is more support. We do grammar exercises, we do exercises to help them develop sentence structure. But really, I think in the ESL section, to answer your question, the teacher is constantly performing a needs assessment on the students, because as they go through the composition class, different needs come up, and you never know day to day what they may need. As they go through the research paper, you may have to help them, for example, with citations and how to develop citations, which is very new for them. As they may also, the teacher, well, if you're hopefully it's the same teacher, you may notice in the composition class when they're writing a paper that all of the ESL students are having a similar issue with one language issue, and then you might work in the 107 class on developing that issue. Some of the issues we've had are that we've had problems traditionally with support of topic sentences. We've had issues with fragments, things that are perennial favorites in the ESL population. And we help them to work on those and eradicate them. So, and that way it is like a lab, but we also do give them tests. And so when you do design the tests in the ESL section, you have to really design your test on whatever it is you've taught them. You don't know ahead of time what the test will be until you know what you've taught them, and then you have to test them on that material. So Composition 1 runs like a regular composition class. Right, and it is a combination of students. Yeah, he has a good point. In the Composition 1 class, you do have native speakers who are regular college students. In the ESL class, it's a support class where you do really whatever it is that they need. So they're very different. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you assign essays for more practice, but it sounds like you don't.
Well, I will tell you this. The first thing that we do usually is have them write an essay in the 107 class to look at their writing and see what kind of needs they do have, because you never know. We do test them ahead of time. Usually they are some of our strongest writing 107 students, but you never know. So we do have them do a sample, and there could be times when you do have them write an essay if that is appropriate. If they are having problems, for example, with essay structure, you might write one as a class and then have them write one on their own to see if they've, to be able to assess whether they've gotten that material. So really, there's no way to say that there's one set of things that you always do, but there could be times when that would be appropriate.
You referenced the basic, ELS basic, and the prep courses as helping the students beat the financial clock. I'm wondering, how's that funded? I mean, are they paying for it, or are prep students state?
The question is, how are the basic and the prep courses funded if they're on the non-credit side? Well, right now, the prep course is a paid course. We charge $140 for 4 weeks of instruction, 48 hours of instruction. And the basic course, if the students come at the right time, there are a limited number of spaces, but we do have some grant funding from the Workforce Development funds that we do apply to some of the students. But if they come too late or the quota has been met, then they can still take the basic course, but there is a fee for the 60 hours of $200. So, and in effect, our students are getting in one semester, if they take basic and go right from basic to prep, 108 hours of beginning instruction in one semester. It's pretty packed. But does that address your funding issue? So they're not using financial aid yet until they get to 020. Because a lot of our students were getting stuck in level 1 and using 2, sometimes 3 semesters of their financial aid. So now they're paying for the courses, but they're not using any of their financial aid until they get to 020.
Yes, it's considerably cheaper than.
And a lot, yes, that's right. It comes out to about $3.33 an hour. So.
This goes back to the 107 course. Yeah, there's an administrative question, I think. There are, well, I mean, it relates to the course and the college, I assume there are other sections of 107.
Oh,
that are
yes.
not paired.
Yes, we have many
So
other
you follow the
sections,
same
yeah.
curriculum, the same syllabus?
No,
and
no,
they're all
no.
in the same, it's the same course number?
Okay, it is the same course number. However, just to be clear, the regular Writing 107 course that we run is very different from the paired course. The paired course section of Writing 107 is a Writing 107 in name only, really. It's a support. The regular Writing 107 sections, they write essays. The essays are graded, and they have a final exam where they have to write an essay in class. And they receive a grade only for that class. So yes, it's a very, very different class. I would.
On paper, it's the same, but in reality, it's very different.
Yes, the reason we call it 107 is that if they take the paired course, they do receive a grade for 107 and for Comp 1, and we consider they have finished Writing 107. So they do complete the class, but the actual content of the class in the paired course is very different from a regular Writing 107. I'm sorry?
For the regular 107, is there an exit exam?
Yes, there is. In fact, we're giving that next week.
And do the paired students take the same exit exam?
No, they do not. They will usually, because the course is support, they will usually take a final exam which is made up of questions on whatever support the teacher has given them that semester.
My question is back for Bob Salata from Passaic. I'm over here. And so I'm piggybacking on the last question to you, which was about funding for your continuing ed, basic, and prep courses. Yeah, but I have a slightly different way of looking at it, and a question that you may or may not be able to answer, which is what percentage of your ESL student population what percentage of them were in your level 1 before you moved it from the academic block to the continuing ed block, and have you retained that same number?
Yes.
That's the first part of my question. And then how much tuition dollars did the college lose by virtue of taking away, the students in the lower level courses from the Pell Grants?
Right. One of the questions is, did the college lose tuition funds? Of course they did. That's part of the sacrifice. But I think with the focus being on completion right now, it was more important to get these students out of that beginning level and into the other levels and through the ELS program and to complete. So they made the sacrifice, although we are garnering some funds from the courses, the paid courses in the beginning levels, the basic and the prep. Certainly not as much as tuition would have been. And the question also was, have we been able to maintain as many students in that beginning level? And the answer is yes, we have. In fact, we're not only getting the same amount of students coming in, but we're able to accelerate them at a faster pace, which is great for the college, great for the students, and that's one of the amazing facts that's come out of this. So it's very encouraging.
So in other words, if completion is the goal.
Yeah, completion is the goal,
then a
so
lot of that
there's a bit of a sacrifice, that's
is
right.
worth it.
It is worth it, yes.
My name is Parvati, I'm from Berkeley Community College, and I have two questions. I noticed that you said that you have a very large Hispanic population. It seems that some of the initiatives here are targeted primarily for the highly motivated. So what happens to the students who are encouraged speakers of Spanish, who may have really poor Spanish language skills, and are the ones that are having the most difficulty getting through the process? Do you have a support system for that student population?
So I believe that the question is, what is our support system for maybe students that aren't as highly motivated, maybe that are struggling, especially Hispanic students? Well, I can speak to the academic level, and then maybe Bob can say some things about the non-credit. Recently, we just developed a new college success course. So this is a 2-credit course and we offer it to students at our 030 level. So that's like our, not the lowest level, but the next level after that. And in that course, we did have a college experience course before that. It was a 1-credit course, but it was like a mixture of college level, developmental, and ESL students all in one course. And I don't think it really served the needs of the students that well. But this new course that we developed, we have, although it's the same course, we separated the populations. So now, and I actually taught a pilot of this course in the spring. It's going to be offered to all students in the fall. So we have a course especially for ESL students. And we do address, some of the needs that they have, their lack of understanding of the American educational system. We talk to them about different resources where they can go to in the college to get help. We do a lot of academic planning, career development. Of course, we go over study skills with them. So that's one really good source of support, which we're going to be offering to students. We also have our writing center, especially just for ESL students, and the full-time faculty, they take one of their office hours per week, and they do one-on-one tutoring with students. Of course, we also have lab tutors that also, give them support in that way. But I agree. I think we are giving support to the students, but I would like to give them even more support. And maybe, Bob, you can talk about the adult.
Well, in the adult education department, where the 2 beginner levels are, we do have, as I mentioned, pretty strong support for our students as far as small group tutoring and individual tutoring to supplement the classes. But we do recognize, that there are a decent number of students that are not really academically focused. And that's not really their goal, to go on and get a degree necessarily. So we are in the process of creating different pathways for them on the non-credit side, in retail, partnering with the ELS department actually on the credit side, culinary arts, and in other areas, also health, child care, smaller certificates for them to give them a sense of completion, but not sure exactly what they'll do with those certificates. We're still in, it's kind of a new, we're a fledgling department at this time, the adult education department, which is under the larger umbrella of the continuing education. But we're in the process of working with those students that might not be, I know we have a lot of students that come in, and sometimes I'll ask them to write something in Spanish also, if they're Hispanic. And I can tell, because I speak and read and write Spanish also, that they're not very academically focused in their own language or proficient in their own language. So the task is large to get them to get to an academic level of English, to say the least.
Are those certificates coming out of the continuing education department?
There will be, yes.
The certificate in education, the one that is short credits, is that coming from Adult education or for?
No, that one is actually from the academic side. But there will be, there will be certificates from the non-credit and from the academic side. As Bob said, we're just beginning this process, but that's our goal, to offer them as many opportunities as possible. Another thing I forgot to mention is one of the things that we started doing in our lab, we call it the Good Start program. And we started this because we had many students who didn't go to the orientation before classes began. And this was especially for the low-level students. So they would sign up to go, but then they would actually never show up. Now, all of you know how important the orientation is. So we wanted to give them an orientation. So what we did is we started doing it for our lower-level students in the lab. We did like the first 2 lab classes where we would talk to them about, how to be a successful student, how to increase their fluency in English, and also just how to read the course syllabus, because a lot of them didn't know that. And we found that it was very meaningful to them, and we decided to expand it in all levels. So now we offer a lesson at the beginning of the semester in the labs, and then also in the middle. And we do it in the middle because that's right before the advisement period. So for each level, we design specific activities to make them more knowledgeable about the college, about the programs that we offer, and really about how to advance in their education.
Good morning, Lily Sanchez, Essex County College. First, congratulations on what you're doing. I'm a product of the ESL program at Essex County College. I came with 3 words of English, yes, no, and I don't know. And with my education, I've traveled the world teaching ESL as well. So I'm very proud of every single ESL teacher, educator, and staff and people that supports it. I am a proof that it works. My question to you would be the following. The students that are taking the non-matriculated courses on continuing education, can you tell me about the percentage of how many of them pursue degrees at the end of those 2 levels? In other words, what's the level of, I would say, how fluid?
Or continuance, yes, right. The question was, what is the percentage of students that come from the adult education program that finally go on through the ELS program and then progress into college level? Those numbers will be coming within the next few years. As I said, we're just beginning, really. But as far as getting into the, at least into the ELS program, the numbers are good. We have about a 74 to 75%, as I showed, from prep to the ELS program at the 0-20 level. So we have about a 74 to 75% success rate, and those students continue on into the credit 0-20 academic ELS program.
Ms. Kelly had mentioned a great, my name is Jenna Figueroa. I'm from Berkeley Community College. And you had mentioned a bridge course and a paired course. Could you tell me what is the content of the bridge course, please?
A bridge course, the bridge course that we offer is at the Reading 20, the 020 level. And that course, it's basically an ESL course, but all of the content of the course is related to one particular subject. So in this case, it's early childhood education. So, I think it's really, I like this model because a lot of times students aren't sure about whether they want to study a certain major, but by doing the bridge course, we're giving them a lot of the vocabulary, the readings, it's all related to early childhood education. And then they can decide after they finish the course if they want to continue studying early childhood education. So if they do, they can go into a higher level reading course, but this reading course called the paired course is they're actually taking a college level course along with the reading course. For the early childhood education, it's the ECE 110. So the ESL teacher in the Reading 30 class again, gives them typical, readings, vocabulary, all the things that you do in a normal reading class, but the content is all about the support for the ECE class. You're welcome.
Hello, my name is Maria Pascal, Reverend Community College, and I have a question about your paired courses. So you have several paired courses: Introduction to Computer Science, Psychology, Sociology. What are your eligibility requirements for these courses? Is it a high GPA requirement, or is it anybody who graduated from the previous level can enter the college, that course? And also, what are the prereqs requirements for these courses?
Okay, so the question is about what are the requirements in order to take a paired course. And basically, students are self-selected. They decide if they get up to their Reading 40 level and they're interested in the course and they want to take it, they're allowed to take it. There's no special GPA that they need. They do need to, the co-requisite would be to take the Writing 40. So they do need to be in a certain level writing class. I think in practice, what we usually do is, we do a big promotion in the middle of the semester about the paired courses, and we talk to instructors who are teaching like the Reading 30 class, and we tell the instructors, well, if you see students that are performing very well in their class, recommend them to take this class. But the truth is that anyone can take it. It's not, there are no restrictions. The only restriction is with the one that Leo talked about, which is the Writing 107 and the Comp 101. We found because there's so much, of course it's a writing class, right? It's Composition 101. That's the hardest thing for them. But in the CIS 101, the Psychology 101, those are intro classes, and there's a little bit of writing, but very little, and so we find that students can be very successful in that.
I'm from Union County College, and we are just about to go through our level 1s and 2s. We'll be going into continuing ed and starting this semester. And so, I have lots of questions, but one would be the 12 weeks, 60 hours
Yes.
course. So what do you mean by intensive? Because it sounds like that's 5.5 hours a week.
Right. Well, it's 12 weeks, 60 hours. We have actually, we'll be starting in the fall, a 7-week, 60-hour express, which is actually definitely be more intensive. But the intensive nature of it would be, it would be we have 3 hours, 3 times a week. We'll have the class, twice a week for 5 hours, but then we have tutoring and we have labs that we've incorporated so that students really get a lot of time on task. So that
required, those labs?
we're in the process of thinking of whether or not we should require it or not. So.
And in terms of charging the students, you mentioned earlier that there was a grant, so some students are able to get in with a grant so they don't have to pay anything. But is this for the 60?
It is. It is. Yes. Yes. Before we reach the quota, students are eligible to go into that basic course and use some monies from the workforce development grant, yes. But also back to your other question about the intensive nature, that's not the only course they take in that semester. They'll take a 4-week course, a prep course, so that's right after, and that's 4 days a week, and that's 3 hours a day for 48 hours. So that's 108 hours of instruction within the 16 weeks, a regular semester.
Some sort of test after they finish
Yes,
the basics?
yes. We have right now we're using our old level 1 exit test. Yes. So if you put it all together, it's really intensive for them. And then you add the tutoring into it and other things we're going to be supplementing it with.
Thank you. I assume that you would have had about the cooperation of the other academic departments in the college to implement these changes. Could you describe a little the role these departments have had, especially the English department? It's going to be a reality check for me of a different kind, and some for my colleagues probably would understand the nature of my question is because sometimes you have to bring these departments kicking and screaming to the table to take part in these initiatives. And then your County College Board.
Okay, so the question was about cooperation from other academic departments. And I have to say we've had great cooperation. And I think maybe one of the reasons is because we've had paired classes for 20 years at our college. And it was before my time when they actually started. We had like always the psychology and the sociology. Those were the two ones that we started with. So after many years, faculty see that the ESL students, they're great students. They love to have them in class. In fact, there's sometimes competition about who's going to teach the class that's paired because they like having them. They do their homework, they ask questions, you know, they participate very well. With the English department, this is a relatively new one. And we were kind of hesitant in the beginning to think about, you know, how can we have a paired, you know, writing 107 with composition 101, what does that mean? But one of the reasons why we did it is because in our developmental department, they started doing it with composition 101 and they had great success. So we thought, okay, well, why don't we try it? And to be honest, you know, the English department was very cooperative about it. As I think Leo mentioned before, the difficulty that we had in the beginning with that course was it was taught by two instructors. So, you know, we had the ESL instructor and then the Writing 107. And because of the nature of the course, you had to be in constant communication with the Composition 101 teacher. It was very successful the first semester when we had two full-time people doing it, because they saw each other, they talked all the time. But later on, when we had an adjunct teaching the Composition 101, and you know, all the full-time people do the ESL, it was a little bit difficult because the adjunct wasn't as accessible. But I would say if you're thinking about doing a paired course, you want to get a professor who wants to work with ESL students, because you do need that communication. I do the paired course with early childhood education, and I speak to the professor, I would say twice a week, about what the students are doing. And after the class, she emails me, she tells me we have a very good relationship and we work well together. So it's kind of like building a team, but I guess in the beginning, you know, you really have to convince the professors that it's going to be a benefit, not a disadvantage, to have the ESL students in the class.
Hi, my name is Saida. I have a question for Kathy, right? You just mentioned something about the Good Start program, exactly what it is. You said something like in the beginning of the semester and right before the final exam. Do you also get support from the counseling department? Does it have any impact on their retention and placement?
Right, well, the Good Start program we just started, so we really haven't looked at the numbers for retention. But again, I think I mentioned that we just had trouble getting students to go to the orientation, which the counselors the counselors and the ESL professors together created a great orientation for them. And when they registered for classes, they signed up, and we thought, oh, we're going to have big numbers of students who are coming, but a lot of them didn't show up. And we're not sure why, but what we found is they do need an orientation, whether they like it or not. So we're going to give them the orientation when they go to the labs. So we started again in the lowest level, and just a basic orientation about the course syllabus, study skills, and even answering questions about, you know, the location of certain classrooms, because a lot of times they come in, they get lost, they don't know where they're going. So because it was so successful in the beginning level, we wanted to extend it to all levels. And the level leaders of each level designed lesson plans specifically for the students. And these are all related to, again, college success. In the middle of the semester, so we do it at the beginning, and we do it in the middle of the semester. And it's related to advisement in the middle of the semester. So having them read the course catalog, understanding what certain words mean, like co-requisite, prerequisite. I think in the 030 level, there was actually a lesson about having them select a certain major and then answering questions about what courses are required in this major. So making them more aware of what's coming next after ESL. And just anecdotally, I was speaking to the director of our labs, and he said, because we also do advisement and registration in our labs, and this is the first semester we've done all levels with the Good Start program. He was telling me that when they were actually being advised and registered, they seemed to understand a lot more about the process, and a lot more students became interested in the paired courses because they understood what is a gen ed course, why is a gen ed course important, and of course most of our paired courses are gen ed courses. So it's something that we just started, but we definitely want to continue in the future and maybe even develop more lessons towards this.
Actually, now I'm going to combine 4 questions. I'm cheating. But they're easy. I'm Heidi Lee from Berkeley Community College. And what you were just talking about is the lab, right, where you're offering this Good Start. Is that similar to what you do in the Success course that you said you have a 2-credit Success course for ESL students?
Yeah, well, the Success course, again, this is we're doing so many new things in the department, in our department. So the Success course is going to begin in the fall. We did have 2 piloted sections this spring, and I taught one of those sections. And it is similar, but of course the Success course is going to be 1 full semester for students. And my feeling is that students need the support in many different ways. They need it repeated over and over again. So I think, we do it in our labs, but we only do we do 1 lesson at the beginning of the semester, and then we do 1 to 2 in the middle of the semester. So that's not really a lot of time for them. And this Success course, and we purposely designed it for the 030 level, kind of a lower level, because that's where we had problems with our retention. We were losing students once they got into that high intermediate level. And we wanted to, encourage them to continue on, even though classes were getting more difficult. So we're hoping that this will have a big impact for retention on us.
Okay, last thing. Who teaches the continuing ed courses? Are they faculty from your ESL department? And also, who teaches the composition courses? Are they ESL teachers? Are they composition teachers? And is there compensation for the teachers who teach the paired courses? Because it seems like a little extra work. And that's it.
We do have some adjunct faculty members that are teaching in the academic program that teach some of the adult education courses, the beginner courses that are non-credit. But the problem there is that as being adjuncts, we have a limit of how many hours, 29 hours that they can work per week. So it makes it quite difficult for an adjunct to actually teach a course in adult education for, say, 15 hours a week or however many hours, and also adjunct, say, 6 credits. So that's actually a challenge that I have right now, finding enough instructors that are not also adjuncts, but are qualified. So that's something I'm working on night and day right now.
So did your ESL teachers lose some classes because of this?
I'm sorry?
The teachers in your ESL department are just...
Well, we did get rid of that's right. I mean, we did get rid of our lowest level, so in effect, our full-timers did lose, and adjuncts lost some classes. But as I said before, that we're looking at that as a sacrifice to get the completion rate up. So.
I think that you also asked questions about if the the ESL teachers receive compensation for teaching paired courses. So what we do is they get 3 credits for sitting in on the college level course for 1 semester. And then after that, you know, no extra compensation after that. But in the beginning, when they first begin to teach it, they do that. And I would say that it's essential to sit in on the class with the professor that's teaching the class, because you really need to understand not only the course content, but the style of teaching that the professor has and the type of tests that are given. It's really very helpful to do that.
So they're in essence taking the course.
Yeah, they're taking the course, although when I did it, I didn't have to take the test, which I was happy about. And for the composition, we had 2 different models for that. One was when we had a regular Composition 101 teacher teaching it, and then an ESL teacher. But as Leo mentioned, we found that having just 1 teacher, and it's the ESL teacher that teaches the class, was more, it was just easier logistically, because of the need for constant communication.
Well, please join me in thanking the team at Passaic for a really